All right, everyone, we are live, supposedly. We'll make sure that that's actually the case on Rumble, of course. As always, we'll check the chat down there. Rumble rants are working already, so I'm assuming that the live stream will work as well. Always have the possibility of tech difficulties. Make sure, let me refresh that, make sure that it's working. Please tell me that I'm live. That's all I'm asking. Yeah, we're live all on Rumble. Okay, and yeah, I fixed the tags too. Some people were telling me that the getter tag at the bottom for some reason wasn't actually working. Not sure why. I didn't change anything, or at least I thought so. Geno66, hi Sticks. If they push through red flag laws, it'd be funny if someone reported certain senile old man with anger issues from Delaware. Yeah, I don't think that they would actually show up at Joe's home. Although they probably should. You're pushing 80, you've got cognitive decline, and you apparently own 5 firearms. We will be talking about that. There is a major Hunter Biden news, actually, to talk about. We got a shit ton of news. Part of it involves Biden. It's not just that. It's the COVID emergency. We've got Jill Biden and her Hispanic spiel there with the breakfast tacos. It's like these people are not mentally normal. I've got to say, there is something deeply wrong, not just with the Biden family as far as blood lineage. Jill Biden apparently has some issues too. I'm thinking they might all be cousins or something like that. Joseph La Rosa, why did Anomaly show you his swimsuit? That's weird. I don't think he did. Do you mean that? Oh, you mean probably that he had the Hawaiian shirt on there when we debated. By the way, Anomaly did confirm when we clanked on his stream that one time that he would debate me again. But after 2 months, I think it is, no further updates. So I guess he got wet feet. Adam THM, hey Sticks, whose monkey's paw wish came true? The people who voted for Biden or Biden's wish to be president himself? Don't know. But I have a feeling he won't be the president come the next presidential term because I don't think that he's going to run again. The writing is now being written on the wall as we speak. I find it very funny, by the way. Anyway, we'll go to the first news topic. Now, I should probably update people here as well. I did a main video today, but I'll update it in brief. Hunter Biden's iCloud material that was synced to his actual laptop was cracked. It has been forensically investigated, and they believe that it is, in fact, real. So the things that we're getting as far as the Hunter Biden new releases appear to be corroborated. This morning, the Secret Service identified the fact that they were aware of this particular leak. But they won't comment on it. They're saying, well, it's possible there's a pending investigation or something, so we can't comment on it. That's legal protocol, number one. Number two, I don't think they're actually going to investigate. They don't really care that Hunter Biden was smoking crack, doing dirty business dealings that explicitly involved his father. And that's really the sum and substance of this, which is that while Hunter Biden, the president's son, president in name, smoking crack and fucking hookers and doing weird shit, while that is funny, it's not really necessarily that legally or civically relevant. What is more relevant is the fact that Joe Biden lied to the American people with regards to not being aware of these business dealings. He left a voicemail to Hunter Biden, openly acknowledging business dealings, wishing him well and talking about those. So we know that that was a lie. That involves the sitting asterisk president of the United States. That's what people should be caring about. Instead, they're being distracted by Hunter Biden going down a water slide naked, smoking crack in a deprivation chamber, and things of that nature. But we already know that he gets up to weird shit. Who cares? He's not an elected official. What is unfortunate and what's concerning is that Joe Biden lied about all of these things. He had no clue that any of this was going on either, by the way, including the alleged molestation of Hunter's niece when she was underage. Again, that's an allegation. We don't have proof of that, but we have reasonable corroboration that some weird shit was going on. The other thing that we learned this morning, as people went through the iCloud storage that was synced to Hunter's device, is that Joe Biden, according to Hunter, in one of his particular text messages, owns 5 firearms. That's very interesting. I wonder if all of the liberal fans of Joe Biden who are like, well, you only need one gun. Well, the more guns in the home, the more likely people are to die. Nobody should own guns. Fuck guns. They're evil. They're instruments of terrorism and stuff. Are you aware that Joe apparently owns 5 of them? I can't imagine that they're all double-barreled shotguns like he suggested other people should own. I have a feeling that there's something more there. I have a feeling there might be a handgun. Maybe there's a revolver, etc. I can't wait to own more guns myself. I don't fault the man for wanting to own the means of defending himself. I do fault him for doing so and then trying to deprive other people of the right to do so. So yeah, the main news, though, that I wanted to talk about was actually about Google. Because Google apparently, depending on where you were located and what specifically you were searching with regards to Hunter Biden's shit, you were getting a warning that came up. I did not personally get it. Link in the description. Links to all of the news that I'm going to be covering. Mostly archived, some of it not. I didn't archive, I think, this or the Elon Musk story. If it's a tweet, generally I don't bother. And archive.today is having problems. I'm assuming that people are hyper archiving everything from the Hunter Biden story at the moment because of myself and others that have helped popularize archive.today. And so they're overloaded. It's taking hours to archive anything. So I had to use a different service for a couple of these stories. There is also another, what was it? Was it archive.st is another one that people are using right now. So use them interchangeably. They're both good. They're both fast. They're both reliable. The thing is this, some people were claiming that when they searched Google specifically for Hunter Biden, iCloud, Hunter Biden, laptop, etc., they were getting a warning and very few results, like nothing in news or anything like that. One of their warnings that said, well, this news may be fast changing. Maybe you can come back later when there are more authorizations, more authentic sources for this particular news. And people thought that was a little strange. I didn't get that warning, but I'm in the Netherlands right now. So, I mean, it may be different. It may be geo-blocking at the U.S. level to keep the U.S. public from seeing that Hunter Biden, once again, is proven to be a degenerated pervert, his family, a bunch of hypocrites. And we'll talk about Jill Biden and her very, very public hypocrisy and stupidity actually later in this stream. Very interesting. Extremely funny. Let's see. We did that one. Okay. Just a second. I got to go down. Joseph LaRosa. Why does Trump have youth appeal, yet Biden lacks it? Well, because Trump did a good job. And so people who are younger under Trump, they felt like they could get ahead. And certainly nobody feels like that under Biden. The Fatty 2497. 3/5 of my coworkers just quit. How do I ask for a raise? Go in there and say, hey, I'm doing more work now, and I think that I'm worth more because I'm doing more work. You might get fired for it, but, you know, it's worth a pitch. 2-Ton Tommy, I'm always astounded by the left disconnect between staunchly pro-choice sentiment and self-defense and other clear innate civil liberties. Oddly, only sexual and artistic freedoms matter. Commie infiltration? Yeah, the U.S. left is basically infiltrated by communists. In the most literal sense. They've overrun that particular movement. That's why AOC acts the way that she does. Yes, they are communists and communist sympathizers. And they should all be out of office and shooed aside not too quickly into the trash bag of history. Rafael Marrero. The leaks hopefully ruined Hunter's political aspirations when he decides to run as an old man. He'll never run for office. I think that'd be crazy talk. I don't even think the Biden family is crazy enough to brook that. He probably wouldn't even get the endorsement of his own dad. Ilhitu, hey Sticks, I'm a killer clown today. Interesting. Shaker Silver, disagree on the Tulsi equals McCain take. Staunchly anti-war and family history of populism. Also been softening on guns. Dem elites hate her for a reason. Tulsi Gabbard is a red herring. You should not vote for her. You should not support her in any way, shape, or form. She's effectively being put out there as one of these astroturfed candidates. She does believe in confiscating guns. She believes in red flag laws. She believes in neoliberalism. The fact that she is the surfing mama who happens to not want to invade a bunch of other countries, Well, shit, dude, there's more and more politicians on both sides of the aisle who believe in that. You don't need Tulsi Gabbard in order to be your cult of personality leader. I would not vote for her. Hunter Wadley, leftists say this is a nothing burger on Twitter. If this were Trump's dealings in family, the J6 committee wouldn't be named the J6 committee. Absolutely. If Don Jr. or Eric Trump or any of these Barron Trump got up to the things that Hunter has gotten up to, it would be nonstop front page news, and the news would basically resemble the goddamn Inquirer. You know it, I know it, everyone fucking knows it. J. Pullover Gaming, would you take time to look over the CRS firearms case over the drawing of a machine gun? I have not heard of that one. Drawing a machine gun now declared illegal by the Biden administration. It wouldn't even surprise me. John, please talk about Chaz for old time's sake. Yes, the Antifa Garden. I fondly remember that. Yes, they tried to grow crops, and they failed miserably. Here in a rainy climate, you decided to underpin them by cardboard layers that were not fully biodegraded. I wonder why root rot set in. Lance Corporal Veteran, what happens if the stock market prices drop and daily store prices rise? Great inconvenience to the average person. Dennis, Sticks, ever since I started watching you regularly, I'm getting Dutch ads on my videos. I was confused what the gibberish was at first. Lol. I don't know how to solve that. Joseph La Rosa, what did you want as a career growing up? I wanted to be a benevolent dictator and overthrow the government of the United States and institute various reforms Pinochet style. Graven Share, American distrust in government at record highs since 1958 is only bad for the elites. Until television became a thing, Americans always heavily distrusted government. We have returned to the mean. Yeah, distrusting the government's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Nobody should trust the government ever, under any circumstances, regardless of the party in charge. Now, we have a second story here. This is a funny one, so I'm going to read some of it verbatim, if I can get it to load. Jill Biden slammed for comparing Latino people to tacos in what Hispanic journalists call a stereotype. No fucking shit. And by the way, did I not mention that Jill Biden basically was like a Hillary Clinton, a Klobuchar? She's one of these, bleach blonde bitches, basically, that refers to brown people as the help, and unironically so. The First Lady, Jill Biden, addressed a Latino group and compared their diversity to breakfast tacos. She called the community as unique. This is a quote. This is a quote. Unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio. The National Association of Hispanic Journalists said in response, do not reduce us to stereotypes. So according to Jill Biden, it's a great idea to compare people. You're trying to pander for their votes, clearly. And they happen to be, they're swarthy or they speak with an accent. They're basically breakfast tacos, according to Jill Biden. Now, her idea of a breakfast taco, of course, is scrambled eggs in a tortilla. The tortilla has not been fried. By the way, I make actual tacos. I make them actual Mexican style, not the pussy-ass New England style or something. And certainly not the crunchy taco fucking California style, because that's even worse. I'd rather have it bland from New England with unseasoned beef. I make the real ones, and I've seen breakfast tacos from restaurants, especially in New England, somewhat here too. And what is it? It's a tortilla, and they heat it up a little bit. It's not toasted. It's certainly not fried. And you put some egg in it and some sweet peppers, basically, and maybe a dash of Tabasco sauce. According to Jill Biden, this is representative of the average Hispanic person. And by the way, the conference that she was at was the Latinx inclusion thing. So it's one of those Latinx sort of things that Hispanics are roundly rejecting. To be clear, Latinx is bullshit. You can be a Latina. You can be a Latino. There's no such thing as Latinx. The attempt to remove the genderism of these terms is not going over so well with people that are by and large quite religious. I wonder why. How could this possibly be? So yeah, this is another hot sauce in the handbag moment. This is exactly like Hillary Clinton saying, well, yeah, mystically. She's on Charlemagne the God's program, I think, at the time. Oh, yeah, don't worry. I carry Tabasco sauce with me all the time. Basically, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I realize that white people don't know how to cook. I'm with it. I like a little bit of spice in my food. Bullshit. You carry Chardonnay in your handbag. So does Jill Biden. Not that I blame her. I'd be drunk all day, too, if I had to be married to Joe Biden. Jack's regret. When is the Razor Fist and Sticks cross-country buddy movie coming out? Ranting and informing your face off. That'd be funny, actually. It'd be funny to do a short film with some other creators. Smooth Steve. Jack Cosciarella misses you. Lol. Yeah, he's big on Twitter and literally nowhere else. It's very funny to see. Taco Bell, thanks for sending me down the soundboard prank call rabbit hole. Haven't laughed so hard in a while. Do you have any favorites? Anything with Stillwell Grandma. I personally think Frank Garrett / Duncan Construction is the best. Do look up Duncan calls a gun store. Stillwell Grandma calls herself. John Wayne checks up on the Stillwell Grandma. That one's hilarious. You ain't John Wayne, you crazy son of a bitch. I mean, come on, it's just great. Anything with Springfield Pervert and the Georgia Mushroom Man is one of the new ones that's really, really great because it's just so off the chain. I wish that they would use some of the lines more often, though. Sometimes they, unfortunately, with some prank calls, there's a tendency to stick with a handful of the lines, and some of the others are actually funnier. And also, all of the prank call collections to the Little India Grill, which I believe is still in operation. Please don't prank call them. I think that they've had enough after 9 or 10 compilations. Balls to the wall fun the whole time. And there's like 2 hours of prank calls there, just to be clear. Don't worry, if you want prank calls also on actually, I'll for your benefit, just a second here. I'll pin the BitChute channel where I uploaded a shit ton of extra prank calls and the bum fights, selling crack to my hose in the back bit. Let me post this on YouTube really quickly. Let me pin this in the live chat. By the way, 2,000 people between YouTube and Twitch watching. I don't know how many on Rumble. I'll have to check in a sec. Yeah, let me post this really quickly because it's definitely worth a look. I've got several hundred prank calls backed up there. And I had stopped doing that for the last few months, but I might get back to it at some point. Let me post this in the chat. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, there is in the, just a sec, I can actually pin it. Okay, if you're watching this on YouTube, as about 2,000 people are, I just posted a pinned comment in the live chat. And so you can take that, and you'll find plenty of prank calls over on BitChute. I've also replicated them all on Odyssey, but I don't have the link handy. I didn't do it on Rumble, because some of it is very racial in nature, and Rumble has TOS that are a bit beyond like what BitChute has. So I figured out of respect I wouldn't bother. By the way, 94,000 on Rumble probably by the end of the day. Subscribed. S, please do an occult video on Greek fire. Not particularly occult, but I guess I could cover that. You mean naphtha, I suppose. Mojo Hansen, interesting watching the Dems become the censorious pricks they rightly accuse the Bush admin of, and the right have become the party of populism. Trump has single-handedly replaced the GOP. Yeah, and good riddance to the old guard of the neocons. The cat is trying to jump up here and go crazy. Hopium Gardener, if Melania compared a bunch of Japanese Americans to rice paper dolls or smoked salmon sushi, you wouldn't hear the friggin' end of it. No, nor should you at that point. Normally, I think that the spouses, kids, and so forth of elected officials, they're off limits. But when they show up, in at least a semi-official capacity, they're talking about policy, like Joe Biden was, and they're pandering, which he clearly was, and they say something that's totally off the chain, yeah, it should be ridiculed. I mean, it's not Joe Biden saying it, but, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I suppose, in that inbred family. They're all basically relatives. Joseph La Rosa. Come on, kitty. How consistently do you invest in crypto? I have quite a bit of crypto. I haven't bought in more lately, but I'm thinking of doing so. I'm watching the prices. I'm standing down and standing by. Neopup, Sticks give me some gun control white pills so I can have a better day. Also just bought a Smith & Wesson 686, 357. Absolutely love it. I can't wait to get a 357 revolver when I get back to Vermont. I want a tactical pistol. I want a shotgun. I want a 22 rifle. Got like 7 or 8 different guns on my wish list. I'm not going to buy them all at once because, you have to maintain them as well. But some white pills. Concealed carry will become the law of the land basically nationwide within the next couple of years. Most of the court cases against gun control will prevail at the lower court level because of Bruin. And so you'll probably have no more mag restrictions. Red flag laws may fall out of favor, which would be a good thing. Don't worry. Battle Elf. If you don't vote Biden, you're not a breakfast taco. Yeah, I mean, just think about the wisdom of Jill Biden comparing Hispanic people to breakfast tacos. And so not even real tacos, like, Anglo tacos with scrambled eggs and shit. Yeah, this taco has maple syrup in it. Ain't it good? It's some hipster horse shit. Nobody wants to eat that fuck. K-Row, can't we go back to when the White House's biggest scandal was Calvin Coolidge's pet raccoon escaping? It'd be fun to release one at the pressers. That would be funny. Some civvy. Think history will write off our times, the DC corruption, MSM bias, big tech, etc. Honestly. No, no history is honest. It's always written by the victors. You may agree with it, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. So yes, Jill Biden compared Latinx people, which is a pejorative, basically. Hispanics, by and large, hate that label, to breakfast tacos. Yeah. Called the community as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio. That'll go over well. Yeah, you wonder why the Democrats are hemorrhaging Hispanic voters. Polyfrog64, do you think we'll have hyperinflation? I'm pretty sure that we're going to have an economic collapse. Thoughts? I don't think hyperinflation, but I do think stagflation. I think that inflation has gotten bad enough, and we are still waiting on more inflation news for the United States. I think it's gotten bad enough to burn through the savings of the middle class, so they'll have to tighten their belts. And if they buy less, that means that businesses sell less, and that means joblessness rises as they cut jobs. I don't know how high the unemployment will go, but I imagine that over the next couple of months, that will become clear. Scarlock, if I'm half Hispanic, does that make me a brunch taco? Maybe a Mexican pizza? I am now racially confused. Yeah, Jill Biden has to answer that question at the next presser. Cold Warrior, is the Amazon fire sale a sign that their overstock is so bad that only major layoffs can bail them out? Now, I think that Amazon will be fine. They did very, very well during the COVID lockdowns, and hopefully they squirreled some of that productivity away instead of just investing into expansion. Otherwise, that'll be hundreds of thousands of jobs lost right there. Third story. This is from Politico. Again, links in the description if you want to follow along. Let me see how many people are watching on Rumble. Almost 500 already. That's what I'm talking about. We're pushing 10 Biden loser units already, and we're only 23 minutes in, so stay tuned. From Politico, House GOP marches into deeper blue terrain as Dem prospects fade. With just 4 months until the midterms, Democrats were already on the defensive in at least 30 highly competitive districts. Representative Kim Schreier called it an honor to welcome President Joe Biden to suburban Seattle for a healthcare speech in April. Then nearly 3 months later, the Washington Democrat used a TV ad to boast about taking on the Biden administration over gas prices. This kind of pivot in a House battleground, which Biden won by 7 points just 2 years ago, he won, isn't an anomaly. Recent GOP polling in roughly a dozen swing districts offers a bleak portrait of how President Joe Biden's anemic approval ratings are threatening to doom battle-tested swing seat incumbents and nudge once safe districts into the middle of the danger zone. Here's the thing. I talked about this, I think, fucking last month. If you look at the matchup races for the House, we're not talking about the Senate right now. That's more of a 50-50. I would favor Republicans to take the Senate by a seat and maybe 2, but that's still up in the air. It's going to come down to the line on that one. With regards to the House, if the Republicans only win the seats that they are favored to win, that is, seats that at least slightly lean towards the GOP, they've already got the House majority. They've already flipped enough seats to take the majority by a slightly higher margin than the Dems currently hold it. The Dem margin right now is very narrow. It's I think 7 seats, but they would take it by more than that. That leaves roughly 30 to 40 highly competitive seats. and things are not moving in the direction for the Dems. If the GOP pulls off a 50-50 act, they would still have a 40-seat sweep. That's how many pickups that they would have, roughly 40 seats. That's already a red wave. They only have to get half of those seats. And though that would be the average, roughly, assuming there's no turnout differential, assuming that there's no enthusiasm differential. And I think both of these things do exist, and they're in the GOP's favor. Outside of certain blue districts where Roe and Bruin are really, really hated, but you've got just as many far red districts where they're loved, so it doesn't really make a difference. In those competitive districts, I think it comes all down to the money. And we're getting down to the line here. We're halfway through July now, and there's no reason to believe the economy will recover appreciably. That's the main issue. The secondary issue being mainly crime and the border. The border, depending on your location, it depends on where you are. All of these things are in the GOP's favor. I would favor them to win 2/3 of those seats. Well, if that happens, you're talking about 50, maybe 55 seats. That's not just a red wave. That's an absolute goddamn catastrophe for the Democrats, in which the House can definitely vote to impeach Biden, although they won't have the votes to remove him. That's another prediction. For various high crimes and misdemeanors, you've got plenty of them to choose from. The J6 committee will be investigated. Most of those new House Republicans, the new ones mainly will be MAGA Republicans. You're talking about the possibility of roughly 100 MAGA Republicans in the House, half the composition of the Republican Party's holdings therein, roughly. Trump will definitely run if that happens, just to be clear, unless he has a health problem. I literally laughed out loud, Army veteran Jesse Jensen, one of Schreier's GOP opponents, said the first time he saw the ad. She is claiming, because she finally looked at some polling and realized that he's unpopular, that she's this independent-minded free spirit that is fighting the administration, and she's been a rubber stamp for him every step of the way. Many such cases in Congress. Let's not just limit it to the Democrats. Let's be totally honest. The Republicans are rubber stamps by and large, too. Hell, the ones that aren't rubber stamps recently have been the biggest disappointments. Just look at fucking Liz Cheney. With just 4 months until the midterms, Democrats were already on the defensive in at least 30 highly competitive districts. But Biden's toxicity has given the GOP optimism about seriously contesting a fresh crop of about a dozen seats that the president won by 2020 by 9 points or more, from western Rhode Island to California's Central Valley to the suburbs of Arizona's capital. The result is a House map that has expanded to an uncomfortable place for Democrats. Survey data obtained by Politico shows the president underwater by double-digit margins in 11 districts he carried. I think the real number is more than that, but we'll get past that for now. One stark example. His approval rating was upside down by 32 points in a June poll of Representative Susan Wiles, D, from Pennsylvania, seat from the National Republican Congressional Committee. So, the Republicans have decided to expand their mission statement. They were mainly going after the seats that were like 50-50 propositions, while bulking up the ones where they've got, 3 to 5 point lead or something. You want to defend those seats. You want to pick off the ones that are toss-ups. They've begun to attempt to pick off seats that weren't toss-up, even a month ago when I first analyzed this. They've gone further. And they're wise to do so. Press your advantage right now. The Democrats no longer have any mainline issue to run on. Roe was the big gift to them, and they flubbed it completely. They effectively no longer even talk about it now, except on the state level. They're talking about guns. They've pivoted to gun control as the main issue. They're on the ropes, so keep punching them while they're on the ropes. My hope is the Democrats lose so badly, Biden's forced to resign, and they have to do some soul-searching as a party. I say this not as a Republican, not as a conservative, but someone that wants a second functioning party that has some people in it that I would be willing to potentially vote for. There aren't many Democrats that really fit the bill right now. As a non-natural Republican, as someone who's not a member of the GOP, and certainly not, morally speaking, a conservative, it would be nice to have two parties that actually weren't full of shit, had some good ideas. Righteous J, how serious of a problem is it that not an insignificant number of people think movies about historical events are nonfiction and one-to-one representations? Nah, not a big problem. Just watch The Longest Day or Sink the Bismarck or any of those other great movies of the past. Most of the movies I like are from the 50s through the 80s. Mojo Hansen, Shank is still Kyle Kalinski's idol, just as Bush as it is still Ben Shapiro's. Agreed. Hunter Wadley, being a father has only made Sticks stronger. We're fucking loving all these live streams, engagement, and news live. Clank, clankers. Yes, I've decided to pretty much just stream every day. It's fun. Hopium Gardener, notice how climate change has been put on the back burner as of late. The more people wake up to the big climate lie, the more worried they get. Well, they're looking at Sri Lanka right now and saying, well, there's some low-hanging fruit for people who don't like the ideas that we're putting forward. Maybe we need to retire them from the battlefield for a while, just to win. Then we'll put them back on the battlefield if we do, which they won't. Tacos y Cerveza. Sticks, did you see Beijing Biden hit a new low for approval? Ha ha ha, may it go lower and lower. Clank. Yes, we'll be covering that as well. Beijing Biden's approval is, yeah. Alejandro Munoz. Sticks, $1 is now worth €1. Lol. Yes, I saw there's an inversion of the dollar to euro thing. The euro was worth a lot more. And now I'm kind of loving being an expat whose income is denominated in US dollars, because the dollar is worth slightly more now. It's good for me. Gary Jean, looks like Michael McFattiness is pushing for a 28th Amendment to replace the second. Yeah, that'll never happen. And nobody cares about what Michael Moore has to say anyway. Any day now, he'll get Me Too'd, and probably deserve it. He's a fat fuck who puts his ham hands all over young women, probably. Princess sent $2 without a chat. Thank you very much. Nicole222. Thanks for keeping my morning coffee interesting with all the crazy news. Oh, there's much more to talk about, too, and we're halfway through. Corto Maltese, Chernobyl was a pretty good retelling of real life. They actually had to tone down parts because the real life was too gruesome. I suggest it. Yeah, Liz really likes stuff about like Eastern Bloc. Chernobyl is part of that, and we've watched a couple of documentaries, and they're really enjoyable. I haven't seen any of them that I disliked. I'm kind of into that. Nuclear disasters and stuff. Fourth bit of news. We've got a link here. Elon Musk trolling Twitter. It's very, very interesting because it comports exactly to what I said a couple of days ago with regards to his strategy. It is a feint. He's trolling Twitter right now. Here's his image. They said I couldn't buy Twitter. Then they wouldn't disclose bot info. Now they want me to force me to buy Twitter in court. Now they have to disclose bot info in court. It's a ruse. He still intends to acquire Twitter. He's trying to drop the price, both for economic and personal reasons. He's dragging them through the mud on purpose to try to do this. By the way, Elon going on a pogrom against Trump. I oppose him on this. And it's looking a little bit suspicious, I'm just going to say. Oh, yeah, the dude that's taking over Twitter just happens to have Trump derangement syndrome. Who would have thunk it? The other possibility, more remote, is that Elon and Trump are actually conspiring together and just specifically trying to grab up more news time. It is possible. Princess Sticks, did you debate Laura last night on Twitter? Biker trash Barbie here. No, I didn't have any debates last night. I know that there was a Biker trash Barbie was, I think, commenting. I didn't really pay attention, though. I have to pay attention to the live stream. The news links, and then also to the chat, like the actual super chats. So, hell, that's why I have slow mode on. At this point, I mean, we've got almost 3,000 people watching between YouTube and Twitch alone, and almost 600 more on Rumble. So, roughly on par. I'm thinking about making slow mode more draconian again, putting it back to 180 or something. So yes, Elon Musk is trolling Twitter, exactly as expected. And by the way, Elon Musk to TP there, Trump Musk 2024. Elon Musk is from South Africa. He cannot serve as president or vice president. He could go into the Senate. He could become a governor. I don't think that he would want to, though. It's kind of thankless. But he cannot legally run for the presidency. He is not from the United States. Michael B., like your content. Oh, thank you very much. I like the diaper funding. Callahan SF2211, Trump Elder 2024. Thoughts? Larry Elder? Maybe. I want Rand Paul. Rand Paul or bust for running mate. Alex McCrane, hey Sticks, what is your opinion on the timetable for the next world war? Seems the world is more than ripe for it. The one problem is that with nuclear weapons existing, a lot of the major military powers can't directly confront one another, or their proxies potentially. That's why you get a bunch of arms sales and subterfuge and subversion and shit like that. It's a continuation of the Cold War. As long as that keeps going, we won't have a world war because that would devolve into a nuclear confrontation. But it's possible at any time. I was more sure of the coming of a pandemic, which I correctly guessed around the right time for COVID, than about nuclear war, because that's just a human element. It's different from nature. So, I mean, I know COVID was designed by China, but, you know, it comes from nature originally. Blaster clone for the diaper fund so you can poop while working. Yeah, I'm just going to be catheterized so that I don't even have to get up ever. I'm just going to stream 24/7. I'll have a catheter and a shit bag, and you know, I'll have one of those things, the little drippy things that hamsters drink out of. I'll have it right here with all of the energy drinks in it, and I'll just sit there 24/7. When I pass out, I'll just live stream myself snoring. Mojo Hansen, when are you going to release more music? Soon, hopefully. Of course, I can't make my own instrumentals. I'm reliant upon other people. If anyone here makes instrumentals, no guarantee that I sing along to it, but if you want to send me on a Twitter DM with something that I can sing to, yeah, I can look into it. I really like synthetic music, 80s style, you know. Drop a rap beat. Maybe I'll do that just as a joke. Now we have another link, fifth news story from the Financial Times. Did U.S. inflation accelerate again in June? Market Questions is the FT's guide to the week ahead. Economists, polled by Reuters, are forecasting annual inflation of 8.7% in June, up from 8.6% the previous month. Monthly consumer price growth is expected to have remained flat at 1% in June from May, driven by high energy prices. So they are predicting, virtually all of them, bankers, economists, that inflation has ticked upwards. Some of them are a little bit more dire than saying 8.7. Some of them are predicting upwards of 9. I don't know where it will fall, but there's a 99% chance inflation did rise. I'm not sure exactly when we're going to get those numbers, but the fact that people are bracing for the numbers, this is new for the legacy media, by the way. You've seen multiple reports before with regards to inflation. Typically, they either just emptily banter about it, or they don't really talk about it beforehand before the numbers drop at all. They don't really care. You get the numbers and then they report on it. Virtually all of the legacy media right now has at least one news story up about the predictions for the month's inflation numbers. And it's going to go higher. Again, please, I'm begging clankers, for your own fucking good. I don't care if you're the lowest paid wage slave ever. You're flipping goddamn burgers. You hate your job. You hate your life. You hate your boss. You hate your mom. You hate everything. Take up 1 or 2 extra shifts. Just grin and bear it. Yeah, get that extra, McBurger or whatever, that you get for free probably at lunch break. Take up a couple shifts. Buy staple goods. Couple extra shifts. Okay, you got a couple $100 extra. I realize under Biden inflation, it doesn't go as far. You can get enough food, reasonably good food, canned soups. You get your dried beans, your spaghetti noodles and shit like that. Get enough to last you a couple of months. Just do it. But when the going gets tough, you better pull up your fucking belt and get fucking going. That's basically the long and short of it. You shouldn't have to, but you should. If you're not in that echelon, let's say you're middle class. Okay, so you get a reasonably good job. Dedicate a few $100s to getting the base necessities that you would need in order to last a couple of months for you and your family and potentially friends as applicable. Do that because things are going to get really bad come the harvest season potentially. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that my prediction falls apart and people laugh at me. I think that the higher fertilizer and diesel prices are going to combine to make all of the farm goods, all of the basic, the grains, the greens, the fruits and stuff, as they begin to be harvested over the next few weeks and certainly through August and September in many climates, the cost will skyrocket. What does the meat that you eat in turn eat? What do we feed pigs? Corn and shit, sorghum. What do we feed chickens? Seeds and so forth. The sunflower seed remnants from making oil and so forth, a big part of their feed. What do you feed the cows? You see where I'm going here? Everything's going to cost a lot more. Hell, even if you're grass-fed. Oh, it's the grass-fed beef. Well, grass isn't corn, is it? We don't need fertilizer to grow it. What does the harvester that has to bale the hay, what does it run on? Diesel fuel. Well, if it's a couple dollars a gallon more a couple dollars more per gallon, that price is transferred to you. The farmer's not going to absorb it. The farmer would go out of business. Get ready for potential hard times to come. It's not a dark winter, it's a dark autumn. Yeah, this Halloween will be extra spooky. You're going to be paying more for those fucking pumpkins. You're like, yeah, you get your kid a pumpkin. You're like, hey, we can carve this into a jack-o'-lantern. Oh my God, we've got a real pumpkin? I haven't seen one of those in ages. How much did you have to spend for that, Daddy? That's going to be the way that it is, dude. Hunter Wadley, how would you handle getting more super chats than you could handle without reporting the news? This is trending in the direction. And by the way, good for you. I don't know. If the super chats start coming in so quickly that I have to, I don't know, actually. I mean, I can always extend the wait time on chat. I can turn up slow mode up to 300 seconds. During the midterms, I'll probably have to because there might be 15, 20,000 people watching. I can do that. On YouTube, if you open up that tab individually, you can see just the super chats in one of the tabs. I'd probably have to do that. Princess, you challenged her to a CRT debate. Laura. Oh, Laura Blue Eyes. Yes, she has DM'd me. And Lev is on board, so we may be setting up a debate. I'm effectively doing this pro bono just to show up somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about and consistently shitposts on the channel as a reward for long-term shitposting excellence. I get nothing out of it because, nobody knows who this is, but I get the satisfaction, I suppose. More super chats. Spider Eternal, my thumbs are turning green thanks to you. Thanks. Yes, grow more crops. Greg Bilota, now sticks. I won't have to worry about corn and pumpkins because I'm growing both in good quantities. Extra shift, extra row of food. Excellent. Yes. Yeah, get a bunch of bags of basmati rice. I'll teach you how to cook them. It's not hard. Get some oil, get some salt. That's the basis of what you need if you don't mind putting ketchup on it. Lots and lots of herbs and spices, though. Much better. Fenugreek is one that is often overlooked. Next news story. President Biden's job approval. This is the RCP, link in the description again, cross-platform. Biden has a 19-point gap now in approval, and he is at his all-time lowest approval level of 37.7%, virtually tied for his highest disapproval. It's within about a point of its all-time high. Biden is effectively toast. He's a lame duck at this point. He has no mandate. Nobody likes him. And these are all post-Roe, post-Bruin polls. The general belief, and initially I predicted this months ago, is that if Roe was ended, it would be bad for the Republicans. Biden would gain support. The direction of the country polling would invert, et cetera, et cetera. Instead, that's not what's happened. And I predicted more recently that probably wouldn't be a problem. The thing is that the Democrats decided to go too far. They did what Biden has been promoting now for weeks, which is to go with the Ralph Northam plan on Roe v. Wade and on Bruin to say, well, fuck guns, we're taking them all away. You overstretched, as usual. You've been doing this for the last couple of years, and you alienated all the independent voters. That's what this reflects. That 37% approval that Biden still has is pretty close to the mark of how many Dem partisans are actually out there. He's lost some of them as well. He's lost the left. He's lost the independents. He's lost some of the never Trump Republicans. They all realized that Trump was way better than this. Biden will probably be thrown under the bus in favor of a younger candidate. The Dharma Bum sent $2. Thank you very much. Michael Cricklow, a mountain of diapers as your next backdrop. Clank. Yeah, I could do that. That'd be funny as hell. I'd rather have a mountain of energy drinks. Come the midterm stream, if I'm still here instead of in Vermont because of the time zones, I probably will need to have a mountain of energy drinks behind me. I'll just pound them down one after the fucking other. By the way, I've got one here. It's got lime in it. Haven't needed it yet so far. So yeah, Joe Biden is now at record low approval. He's down at Truman levels now, which means that he's roughly tied with the least popular modern president at any point in his term in the polling aggregate. He is now at the lowest level for any president at this particular point in his first term. He is the lowest in polling history. So going back about 100 years, Biden is effectively the worst. It's not a surprise. Plenty of people warned the population of what would happen if Joe Biden were selected for that office, and they decided to pay no heed. 81 million votes, says Stardog. Yeah, it's really believable. Most popular modern president. Now, we've got another story. This one's more sad. Comes from Joshua Jared here, although it's been widely reported on. Albuquerque SWAT teams raid house looking for alleged robbery suspect. Using nuisance flashbangs to get the suspect out, ignited and engulfed the home in flames. After the fire, police find the body of a 14-year-old boy. He was not the suspect. This is why we need to end qualified immunity. By the way, I did a new tech exclusive today, so BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, etc. On this topic. Cops should get in trouble when they do this sort of thing. You shouldn't have no-knock raids. You shouldn't have red flag laws. You shouldn't have qualified immunity. All of these things are horseshit. If you actually back the blue line, the thin blue line, and you support our cops, religiously, then why are we sending them in to potentially get shot at? And why are we sending them into situations like this where some minor gets killed, the entire community is outraged, and those cops, they end up with PTSD, or they resign in some cases. The good ones resign, unfortunately. Or they're just being fucked up and malevolent, and because of the fact that you can't do anything and remove them, the community never trusts them, so you get less cooperation from the community. Yes, it would be better if we had like Andy Griffith-style policing still. We don't need no-knock raids. It's not necessary. There are very few instances in which it's possibly necessary or reasonable to do these things. Styx, Hex, and Hammer Keck. How do you do, my fellow taco? Can we get a Styx Razorfist Salty Cracker collab during midterms? I have contacted Razorfist and should contact Salty with regards to the midterm stream. Of course, my co-host will be Sleazy P. Martini, none other than the band manager of Guar, who's now over 15,000 subs, so congrats to him. I will try to get them aboard. That'd be nice. But we're not even sure we can have guests because I've got to calibrate everything. I've never had 3 people on the stream before with StreamYard, so it'll take a little while because I'm a goddamn Luddite. Now we're getting up towards 1,000 people watching on Rumble, so keep sharing that link out, everyone, cross-platform. We are now at 4,000 live viewers at the same time. Dusty Brown, do you think Ted Cruz could actually run for president? He was born in Cuba. No, he was born in Canada, actually. But he has citizenship by birthright because of having a parent that was American. It could become a constitutional issue, although not necessarily. The bigger problem is that Ted Cruz maintained his dual citizenship well into his Senate career until he decided to run. That's number one. And number two, he's clearly deranged mentally. He's not qualified. Princess, one more thing. Property in rural North Florida is cheap. Love to see you there. Yeah, a little bit warm for my sensitivities. You got to realize I'm from Vermont. I'm from basically the U.S. version of fucking Siberia. So if it's 85, 90 degrees and full humidity every day, I'll just melt at some point. I'll look like the Wicked Witch of the West after it starts to rain. Jimmy Hart, remember Biden's It's Up to Us campaign? Aged like milk, much like Biden has. He's aged more like Greek yogurt, ant-eaten out in the hot sun next to a dog turd. Also, I'm curious why Hunter had Obama's daughter's credit card covered in white powder. I don't know that was ever confirmed. Was that actually hers? I've seen the image, I've seen the story, but I've never seen it confirmed. And I'm more cautious because I don't want to say things that aren't true, because my whole goal is to just analyze news and polls and shit like that. I would rather be right than put clickbait out there and be proven wrong. It's kind of underhanded. It's like you make up some big story with all caps and stuff like, oh my God, Joe Biden just stuck his dick in the beehive. And then it turns out he didn't. He probably would, but, it turns out in that case, he didn't actually fuck the beehive. And then you look like a cunt, basically. And, your fans may give you a pass, but it's underhanded. I'm not the Weekly World News. I'm not the New York Times. Spooky Pen, thanks for the daily videos. Watch them while I make eggs in the morning with ketchup. Good, you have good taste. I put it mainly on scrambled eggs, possibly omelet, depending on how it's cooked. If they're sunny side up or something you don't know, or certainly deviled or hard-boiled, you don't need ketchup on those. Some people put salt on their hard-boiled eggs. It's like weird and shit. It already tastes good. It's a hard-boiled egg. Just eat it. Eighth news story, Biden administration to again extend the COVID public health emergency. Oh, interesting. 4 months to go till midterms and you decide to extend the emergency. What emergency? Can I please ask who is still concerned about the coof? Nobody. The panic has worn off. People were briefly more upset by monkeypox. I think people are more concerned with the fact that they don't have any money. They go to the store and half the goods aren't there. They're worried about nuclear war. They're not worried about the coof anymore, which is for the best. People need to get the fuck over it, go back to fucking normal life, and we need to pass a constitutional amendment preventing lockdowns in the future, and all of the various mandates and so forth. Just my personal opinion. We have to be careful about how we actually talk about this, because of course we are live on YouTube. I don't know about Twitch's rules, but yes, the Biden administration has decided to continue fear-mongering to people, basically. And there's no real reason to. Who gives a shit? You don't even have mandates anymore. You get on a flight, you don't need a mask. There's no vaccine mandate except for health workers. There is nothing. Why are you so afraid? Your actions belie the fact that you're not. You've effectively gotten everything back to normal for economic purposes. So why are you still encouraging the belief in the public that there's an emergency going on? This is now several years old. It's not an emergency anymore. You've already quantified every aspect of the disease. You've released vaccines and other treatments. We'll put that in quotes for purposes of YouTube TOS. Experimental treatment, purported treatments, therapies, and so forth. You've got various protocol for, hey, you feel sick, stay home. Don't go and cough on everyone. What's the emergency? There is none. It means nothing. It's senseless. This is just to give wider power to state governors, basically, ahead of the midterms, by the way. It completely coincidental. Blue state governors gaining, additional powers prior to that point in time. It's a coincidence, everyone. Don't look too much into it. Funwan2 on Twitch. Fear and anger is by far your worst enemy. Yes, always remember it is your own government fundamentally that's the biggest threat to your rights as well. Foreign government can't legalize its own abuse of you. If it invades, you can shoot at them. Nobody gives a damn because under your legal system, they're just an invader. If the government decides you're a problem and they decide to abuse you and they kick in your door or they suspend your bank account randomly, you can't fight back. Not outside of a legal process that same government happens to run and staff and fund, in part using your own money. Aaron Bennett, with the tide turning against the elites and them realizing that the tighter they hold the people, the more power they lose. Examples, Biden and Sri Lanka. Yes, it is true. It was funny. I think the WEF removed their story. Fact check this for me because I didn't independently do so. I already had too much news to dock it up, so I couldn't fit this in. It looks like the WEF had a story years ago where they're like, here's how we're going to make Sri Lanka fabulously wealthy by 2025 or something like that. And they've removed it. I mean, I believe it, but I don't have the actual receipts. I don't have the actual archive or anything. Somebody tell me if that's actually true and provide an archive so I can laugh my ass off. Chika Fujiwara, go Sticks. And then we have our final news topic here. We have Rage in favor of the machine. Rage Against the Machine called to abort the Supreme Court at the first concert in 11 years. You ignored your fans for a decade. You finally come back out, and then you're immediately pandering. Rage Against the Machine, you will know them from Killing in the Name of. So back in the 1990s, when they were young and relevant and people gave a shit what they talked about, it was basically anarcho-punk, at least commercialized anarcho-punk, specifically designed to make a lot of money. It's basically what these bands tend to be. And it was basically, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. That was basically the message of the song. And it was good, by the way. It's basically a one-hit rock wonder when you think about it from the 90s. Can you think of any other songs that Rage Against the Machine ever did, other than Killing in the Name of, which half of you only know because you played GTA San Andreas, when you were a kid anyway, if you're a millennial? Can you think of any other song that they ever did? Some of you can, probably less than half of you. So their whole thing was, hey, I fucking hate the system. The cops, some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Slightly poignant and not entirely untrue. and fuck you, fuck the system, fuck the government. Now it's more like, hey, we've gotten older and wiser. We're now middle-aged people. I think they're probably in their 50s or something by now. They're Gen Xers. We're not trying to burn down the system that has given us many millions of dollars in ticket sales, millions of dollars in album sales. The system's perfectly fine. We're just requesting mildly that you slightly reform the system. That's basically, it's not rage against the machine. It's rage in favor of, it's mild annoyance in favor of mild reform. Hey, Roe v. Wade shouldn't have been overturned. Hey, man, the Supreme Court is totally wrong here. You sound like a bunch of fucking brown-nosing Democrats is what you sound like. Not the initial purpose of the band, of course. And they've always been a little bit on the commie side, but, at least they had one song that was listenable. We'll give them credit where credit's due. Kill It in the Name Of is a fun song. I don't really care that it was made by communists. Yes, occasionally communists manage to scrape a little bit of talent out of their asshole. It's just not very common. Hunter Wadley. Let's say I work for a very large company. Let's say very, very large. This company only hires certain people. They're sane and I love red pilling them. Oh, doing a good job. Alessandro Munoz. Oh, Sticks, I want to read more spiritual stuff. Looking for occult and demonism. The spookier, the better. Considered haram by Vatican types of vibe. What do you personally recommend? I get a whole section on the Tarl Warwick's Books blog, WordPress or Blogspot, with a demonology section, so peruse at your leisure. There's also a compilation. I think I put that under my works, however. It's a compilation of demonological texts, and it's kind of out there, some of the stuff. I included Sinistrari, of course, among others. That one was interesting. He claims that demons can literally fuck dead bodies and give birth thereby, just to be clear. Or rather, they can possess dead bodies and then screw women using the decomposing corpse. And this is why there are birth defects. Yes, that is what Sinistrari in the 19th century claimed. Catholic in origin, of course. Folly Pollard, straight up dog. Sebastian Monroe, you don't smoke, but would you have an edible? No, I would definitely not take a marijuana edible. I gave up all the drugs and shit like that. I've got money to make and better things to do. If I want a thrill, I'll cook some nice food or something like that. I've become very domesticated, as you can fucking tell. I'm very normal. I'm sane now. I took my meds, unlike Eustace. Yeah, sucking off the machine. Rage for the machine. Rage on behalf of the machine. Blood rag of the machine. Yeah. Shilling in the name of. I like all of those. Yeah, so Rage Against the Machine finally goes on tour after ignoring their fans for half a generation, and the first thing that they do is be complete sellouts. We're not arguing that the state should be brought low. We're not arguing again. We're too old to throw Molotov cocktails anymore. And we're also way, way too rich to want to do that because, we've got our mansions and all that shit, so we don't really want to get arrested. You young people, you should get arrested on the behalf of people like us, though. It's basically the message. We're just asking that the Supreme Court be reformed, man. They made a bad decision. Expand the court, man. Joe Biden's the man. Put 2 more justices on SCOTUS. Improve the system. Rage in favor of improving the system that we spent 20 years saying was completely illegitimate from top to bottom. What a bunch of fucking sellouts. No wonder you only had one song anyone fucking remembers. At their sets, do they just play the same song over and over because nobody gives a shit about anything else they ever did? Plantation sensation. I work in IT. Things are getting bad for business tech architecture. Almost nothing is in stock and all the manufacturers are laying off their staff. Not surprising. Not even slightly. Alexander Emelianov, punk rock has always been rubbish cringe. No, some of it is good. Look at G.G. Allen. G.G. Allen's very good. The Ramones are good, even though it's effectively, it's mall punk more than anything else. Pop punk. But they were talented. Joey Ramone, by the way. Some people think I look vaguely like him. The Ramones were cool. Pet Sematary was a fucking great song. That's late in their careers. This is in the middle of the 80s. Did that for that Stephen King movie, Pet Sematary. By the way, really cheesy, but really great movie. There are two kinds of punk that are good. There's a real weird out there horse shit. So you're talking Johnny Rotten, any of the stuff that he does at this point. He's totally out of it. G.G. Allen and stuff like that. So real punk, that's the real side of things. And then there's the fun punk, which is just like skateboards and pot smoking, like the Ramones or something. And in between, you get all the politically motivated bullshit punk. So you get Jello Biafra. You get Rage Against the Machine, which I don't know if it really counts as punk anyway. You get basically everything that's ska related. All this fucking horse shit. Talentless drivel. And all of these people get rich doing it too. Ty G, Sticks, I live in Connecticut and it's heavy blue and it's painful. My kids' schools are pushing transgender clubs, gay clubs, and other crazy stuff. Do you have any suggestions on how I can tell my son how to deal with this? Oh, if it's just clubs, who cares? If it's completely voluntary and it's not on school time, you shouldn't care. You know, your son can just choose not to go to these things. My suggestion is start your own club. Start a straight club or something like that. And then really watch them get riled up when they call it hateful. And then start a legal battle. By the way, this is unofficial advice. I'm not telling you that you should actually sue the school or anything. But you'd probably have to because they would probably try to shut the club down. Start a white person spaces club or something. See how long it lasts. It is unfortunate that there's a massive double standard, but you have to deal with this shit. And it's in Connecticut, so you chose the wrong state, I'm afraid, for sane schooling. I don't know. Where are they on the list? Weren't they like number 10 or something like that in educational attainment? So it's not that bad, but it's not New Hampshire or something. By the way, I just got deja vu. I think I addressed something similar to this many streams ago. Sebastian Monroe, if they don't poo-poo on stage or fight fans, are they even punk? Yeah, exactly. G.G. Allen would take a shit. You look it up for yourself. Look up G.G. Allen live sometime if you want to see some crazy shit. He'd literally shit on stage. He'd start licking it. He'd smear it all over himself, throw it at the crowd. He'd be fighting with fans. He'd be like grabbing women and shoving them into his shit-covered crotch. He'd be beating off in the corner and doing and saying weird things. He'd trash the venue in a drunken rage. And at some point, the night before he died, he wandered around Boston smeared with shit, which, by the way, he refused to allow them to clean off. Like in his will, they couldn't clean his body before embalm it before they buried him. So think about him at his funeral. He's literally smeared with shit. People were fucking putting booze and drugs in his mouth when he was already dead. And he's all bloated and fucked up. And yeah, that's real punk. Yeah, Rage Against the Machine. Why don't you take a piss in a glass on stage and chug one another's piss to prove that you're really punk? Lemon Russ, please do a video on Matt Hoover's case versus NFA. Oh, yes, actually. I'll try to add that to the docket for tomorrow. Thank you. Let me put that in over here really quickly. We do have a suit against the NFA, the National Firearms Act. In fact, I think there are multiple subsequent cases, actually. Punk is dead except for the dead Kennedys. Fuck the dead Kennedys. They're not really punk at this point anyway. And I hate ska. Okay, so it's punk, but you added a trumpet section thinking that more Hispanic people would watch your shit. I'd rather listen to Green Day. They're one of the other fun bands. I mean, you know, the stupidity of their lead singer aside, Bobby, whatever his name is, Billy Joel. Billy Joel Armstrong, about the same height, too. He clambers up his model wife like a monkey looking for coconuts, I think. His stupidity aside, at the very least, some of the music is reasonably listenable. It's the truth. It's the same thing with many other, again, with the Ramones, or the one particular song from Rage Against the Machine that anyone has ever actually heard. Yeah, punk died with Green Day. Yeah, kind of. I'm a song. I'm reminded of the goth girls who came out as pro-life because it's not seen as mainstream view. Yeah, it is funny. There's a lot of contrarianism in some of these particular sub-movements. Hello there. Dead Kennedys were praising Mitt Romney. They are pro-establishment. I didn't see that one. Didn't Jello leave the band, and then he did the audacity of hype where he was ridiculing Obama, And at some point, he ran for office on an absurdist platform, and anarcho-punks attacked him for being a sellout because of that. That's funny as hell. You finally do something that's actually worth mentioning and actually funny in nature, and the communists attack you. Sort of like being Trotsky'd, I suppose. Hunter Wadley, they didn't do what you told you. They didn't do what they told you. They didn't do what they told you. We're justified in canceling your nonconformist ass. Helicopter rides for communists. Dude, early Goldfinger was great. Never heard of that band. Dan Schreifler, Punk died the day the Clash signed to CBS. The Clash was good too. I like some of their material. But again, it's not that hardcore edge of punk, which was the whole point. The whole point of punk initially is we're outside of the mainstream. We're not normal. We're not trying to be normal. And it's fucking drugs and weird shit like that. If you wanted to be punk today, you'd have like a TradCon thing going on. You'd be a free speech supremacist that would get called alt-right, arguably, by the lamestream. I don't see these losers doing that. Bud from Kansas. Green Day punk? Finally, something Styx is clueless about. Oh, I'm not saying that they're punk. I'm saying that there's that side of mall punk-ishness that tries to sound like punk, and really it's just pop rock. Much like the Ramones at many times, although the early stuff is actually punk. This is the case with many bands because they're sellouts. But I don't mind pop music. I just wish that they would use the correct moniker for it. Short skirt and a long jacket, says Pure Blood. Fun12 on Twitch. It's so loud you can't hear the music. Yeah, you're thinking of metal, I think, at that point. How many people are watching on Rumble? There's 700 people watching there. We're at 4,000 live viewers. I am looking into that Hoover decision. I've got to, I guess I'll put that on the live stream for tomorrow, definitely. That's versus, it's based on Bruin. It is a supplement to motion to dismiss and declare unconstitutional the NFA of 1934. I did cover that in brief, but yeah, I think that does deserve a slot in the next live stream. Because I mean, if it goes through, if it is actually successful, that's one of the most meaningful SCOTUS decisions that we've had in the nation's history, and it would be fucking great. Yeah, you want to get a 50-round drum for your mail-order automatic weapon? There's no law against it anymore on the Federal Register. I think that would be pretty good. Yeah. Crew Jones 43 on Rumble. The Dead Kennedys retweeted the FBI searching for January 6th meandering suspects. Doesn't surprise me in the least. Aisle paint. Yeah, that and meat spin. Yeah, I guess shock sites are definitely punk. Sort of the same goal. The Happy Plague Doctor. YouTube, 13 is my lucky number. That's punk. Everything is punk and nothing is punk. Pete sounds Hinckley had a vision. Oh, Jesus. I think Hinckley, he was the one that shot Reagan, right? I think he's on YouTube, actually, Hinckley, which is very funny. So a would-be a presidential assassin is allowed on YouTube, but if you have the wrong views with regards to chromosomes, like Stéphane Malnoux, you're not allowed anymore. You're way too out there, dude. Jesus Christ. By the way, please no more super chats. I do have to go off here in a little bit. Mojo Hansen, why are Swedish women so beautiful? I don't know. Java Ally. Industrial music went PC. Singer from Aesthetic Perfection said it was uncool to be edgy on a YouTube video. Yeah, I like being edgy. I like saying fuck. I like covering unorthodox topics. I love it when people say that I'm crazy. All too few people do that these days. Death says deicide. Deicide's all right. Idle Tentacles. Want to make my day? Give a call out on your stream. It's pretty chill to listen to. Okay, consider yourself called out, Idle Tentacles, on Twitch. Wait, are you the one that was trolling on Twitter? That'd be funny as hell. I think it was tentacle related. Something like that. Yeah, you're really Carbon Tentacles. I don't know if you're the same person. Anyway, I think that I'm going to go offline because it is that time of day. And also, it's pushing 80 degrees. I don't have the energy to go like an hour 30 or something today. And it's going to be hot tomorrow, too. And next week, it's going to be like almost 100 degrees. And we're in the Netherlands right now, so we're further north than like fucking Rutland, and it's oceanic, so usually it's not a problem. I guess air is coming off of the North African desert, like the Sahara, and it's going to be pounding us. It'll probably be all hazy too, so it'll be like literally sandstorm mode. That's going to really be fun. I'm going to enjoy doing a live stream that day. I may actually take a day or two off at that point. That's about all. Peace out.